Through you, Mr. Chair, I can confirm that it is 4 p.m. and we are now live streaming and recording.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary Leach. This is a meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the Town of Pelham. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I would like to introduce the panel. The panel today consists of Mr. John Clausen,
that's me,
Mr. Bernie Law, and myself. I'm Don Cook, and I'll be acting as chairman. I would now request the Assistant Secretary Leach to read the land recognition statement.
Thank you very much. We begin this meeting by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. The territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. The gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and acknowledging reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and the friendship of the Indigenous people. Through you, Mr. Chair, you may now proceed with your introduction.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary Leach. This is an electronic hearing of the Committee of Adjustment for the Town of Pelham. Everyone present and viewing at home via live stream will be given an opportunity to comment on the application being heard. Please address your comments through the chair. This public meeting has been called to satisfy the requirements of the Planning Act and Council bylaws. Notice of this meeting has been given by prepaid first-class mail to all persons listed as owners in the last revised assessment roll within 60 meters, 200 feet of the subject properties. In addition, a public notice sign has been posted on the lands and information has been provided on the town's Committee of Adjustment webpage. Agencies commenting on applications may request that certain conditions be imposed should an application be approved. Voicing objections to these conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision. The purpose of the application and relative correspondence will be heard, following which the applicant will be given the opportunity to address the application. Pre-registered participants will remain in the waiting room until you are called to speak. Please be advised, once you have finished speaking, you will be removed from the Zoom meeting room. If you are live streaming at home and wish to submit a comment to be read into the public portion, you may do so by emailing clerks@pelham.ca. Comments received following the public portion of the meeting will not be considered. At the conclusion of the discussion, the committee will render a decision and advise of any applicable conditions. Specific wording for the conditions will be determined by the committee following the public portion of this hearing. Copies of the decisions will be mailed to the applicant or his agent and members of the public that have submitted comments. Notices of decision can also be obtained by request to the Secretary of Treasury. Any person, corporation, or public body has the right to appeal either the decision itself or the conditions of consent to the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of the decision for minor variances and within 20 days of the mailing of the decision for consent applications. We ask that all participants be mindful of background noise for the duration of the meeting. If you are not speaking, it is recommended that you mute yourself. Committee members are asked to raise your hand if you would like to speak and vote, and applicants, agents, and attendees are advised that they are free to leave the webinar once a decision is made. Members of the panel, does any member of the panel have a pecuniary interest in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act in any of the applications being considered at this hearing? Mr. Clausen.
I have none.
Mr. Law.
I also have none.
And I also have none. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Leach, are there any requests for withdrawal or adjournment?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have received no requests for withdrawal or adjournment.
Thank you very much. The first application we're dealing with today is minor variance application A4 2022P, 1 Deer Park Crescent in the town of Pelham, Lot 240 on Plan M19, roll number 2732-030-011-16700. Assistant Secretary Leach, could you please read excerpts from the planning report?
Absolutely. I would just kindly ask Ms. Miller to please share our PowerPoint presentation. Committee of Adjustment hearing Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 4 p.m. All Town of Pelham in-person Committee of Adjustment hearings have been canceled. Instead, the town is holding all Committee of Adjustment hearings electronically via Zoom. Please note that no decisions have been made prior to this public meeting. The presentation is based upon the Town of Pelham's Planning Department report and analysis. All comments received from commenting agencies and the public have been forwarded in full to the Committee of Adjustment members for their consideration. Participants are reminded, please ensure your background is free from offensive or vulgar material. If inappropriate material is visible, you will be removed from the meeting. Vulgar or offensive language will not be tolerated. If inappropriate language is used, you will be removed from the meeting. Participants will remain in the waiting room until they are called to speak. The Zoom chat is not monitored nor recommended to contact the Clerk's Department during the meeting. Please contact us via email at clerks@pelham.ca. The email address is monitored during this meeting. Decorum. The Committee of Adjustment is a formal public hearing requiring decorum. This means that all comments are to be made through the chair. If you have pre-registered to speak, you will be given an opportunity to address the committee at the public portion of the meeting. If you are live streaming and wish to submit a comment live, please email clerks@pelham.ca. Please note that comments must be received during the public portion of the meeting, otherwise they will not be considered. Disrespectful comments will also not be tolerated. Please note that if decorum is lost, the meeting may be recessed and persons will be asked to leave. Public portion of the meeting. To allow for an efficient meeting, each member of the public will be given an opportunity to speak to the committee during the public portion of the meeting. Please note, after all members of the public have been given the opportunity to speak, the applicant or agent will have the opportunity to address the public comments and concerns at one time. Our first application this evening is File A4-2022P, 1 Deer Park Crescent. The subject land is located on the north side of Deer Park Crescent, fronting on the west side of Spruce Side Crescent, known locally as 1 Deer Park Crescent in the town of Pelham. The minor variance application requests relief from Section 14.2D, minimum front yard, to permit a minimum front yard setback of 2.48 meters, whereas the bylaw requires 6.5 meters. To date, the following comments have been received. From the Building Department, a building permit is required for the proposed garage addition. Public Works Department, Public Works offer the following comments. Please be advised that driveway access is only permitted from Deer Park Crescent. See conditions. One public comment was received and is summarized as follows. Concerned with the magnitude of the variance regarding safety and property upkeep. Worried that the structure can result in visibility, height, and sightline issues. Unsatisfied with the existing outdoor storage condition and concerned that additional structure will result in additional area being utilized for outdoor storage. Minor variance tests. Is the variance minor in nature? Yes, the variance is not anticipated to have significant impacts on the massing of the dwelling or create sightline issues, as the addition is considered moderate in scale and a logical extension to the dwelling. The addition is also outside of the daylighting triangle, which must be free of structures and visual obstructions. Furthermore, it is recommended that additional landscaping be added to the front yard, combined with existing plantings, to minimize the impact of the addition on the streetscape. Is the variance desirable for the development or use of the land? Yes, the variance is requested to facilitate a proposed garage addition to the existing dwelling to accommodate for the homeowner's storage needs. The variance will have minimal impacts to the existing neighborhood and property to the north. The requested variance is not anticipated to have negative impacts on the streetscape, provided that adequate vegetation is planted to screen the additional from public view. Does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? Yes, the property is a corner lot, and according to the bylaw, the shorter street line shall be deemed to be the front lot line, where a front yard setback of 6.5 meters is required. The intent of the bylaw is to ensure that a consistent character is maintained along streetscapes and that sufficient space and separation is achieved between the buildings and roadways. The reduction is not anticipated to have a significant visual impact on the dwelling, and adequate space remains for separation. Staff are of the opinion that the proposed front yard setback is appropriate and in keeping with the character of the street. Does the variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? Yes, the surrounding neighborhood is generally characterized by 1- or 2-story single detached dwellings. The official plan states that development and redevelopment shall maintain and enhance the character and stability of existing and well-established residential neighborhoods with regard to scale and density. Staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is not considered to have significant impacts within the context of the official plan, policies, and will facilitate the development of a garage addition that is compatible with and generally in keeping with low-density residential character of the neighborhood. Staff is of the opinion that the proposal makes efficient use of the land, will not result in the overbuilding of the property, will not alter the view, sightlines, or personal enjoyment of the subject property or any neighboring properties, and should not negatively impact the surrounding neighborhood with regard to land use incompatibility, traffic, privacy, and stormwater runoff. The requested variance is minor in nature, conforms to local policies, and is appropriate for the development and the use of the land. Planning staff recommend that application number A4-2022P be approved subject to the following conditions. That the applicant apply for and receive a building permit for the proposed addition prior to construction. That the applicant submit an upgraded lot grading and drainage plan to demonstrate that drainage does not negatively impact nor rely on neighboring properties to the satisfaction of the Director of Public Works. That the applicant provide a landscaped buffer strip containing shrubs, hedges, plantings, or other ground cover along the frontage facing Spruceside Crescent to the satisfaction of the Director of Community Planning and Development. That the applicant obtain a driveway entrance and culvert permit from the town to accommodate any modification to the existing driveway. Installation and/or modification of new entrances shall be completed in accordance with town standards prior to the building permit issuance, and the applicant shall bear all costs associated with the works. If you wish to receive a copy of the notice of decision, please contact the Secretary Treasurer in writing as soon as possible. Holly Wilford, Secretary Treasurer to the Committee of Adjustment, 20 Pelham Town Square, P.O. Box 400, Fonthill, Ontario, LOS 1EO, hwilford@pelham.ca. This contact information can also be found at the Town of Pelham's website.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary Leach. Is the applicant available?
We do have the agent with us this evening, Mr. Joel Ripestra. I would kindly ask Ms. Miller to bring him into the meeting.
Mr. Ripestra, are you?
Mr. Ripestra, we see that you are now in the meeting. Feel free to turn on your camera and or present your comments.
Mr. Ripestra, are you with us?
I see that you are now muted.
Prompt.
Perfect. Please proceed with your comments.
Do you have anything you wish to add? I'm sure you've listened to the excerpts from the planning report. Do you have anything you wish to add for the information of the committee?
No, it all seems good. We plan to have a landscape plan. The height was asked about by the objected. That was just to be continued with the existing height of the home and come straight across, so it looked like it was a natural build, as it were, when the house was built.
Okay. Assistant Secretary Leach, do we have anyone pre-registered wishing to participate at the meeting?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have one pre-registered member of the public. I would just confirm with Ms. Miller that they were able to log in successfully.
Would this be Mr. Gavery?
Yes. Ms. Miller,
Unfortunately, he has not joined the meeting.
okay, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, we have made attempts to contact him to log in. However, I can confirm that he was the author of the written correspondence on this file.
Yes, and then we all have copies of that, and I imagine we've all looked at it. So
Yes.
we'll take those comments under consideration during our deliberations.
Okay, thank you very much. We do not have any further pre-registered members of the public. I will just check the clerks at pelham.ca email address to see if we received any emails.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can confirm that it is 4:16 p.m. and we have received no emails. Therefore, you can close the public portion of the meeting and move to committee input.
Members, could I have a motion to close the public portion of this meeting? Mr. Law moves.
I second.
Second. Way to go, John. Thank Mr. Clausen. All in favor of closing the public portion of the meeting? Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, gentlemen. Are there any members of the committee? Do they have any questions they wish to ask of the applicant or the agent? Mr. Clausen.
Not really a question, just a statement. The applicant put forth the drawing showing a building height of 16 feet. Was very clear in what was building. And I just appreciate seeing it gave me a better handle on when I went to the site, what I was looking at. So with all that there, I have no concerns on this application.
Mr. Law.
Yes, I've read and considered the letter from Mr. Douglas Gabori, the neighbor to the north of number 1 Deer Park. And I do understand Mr. Gaber's concerns. However, comments from the town planning, building, and public works staff are that it makes efficient use of the land and will not result in overbuilding of the property, and also will not alter the view, sightlines, or personal enjoyment of the subject property or any neighboring properties, and should not negatively impact the surrounding neighborhood with regards to land use, incompatibility, traffic, privacy, and storm runoff. The requested variance is minor in nature.
Hold on a second. Bernie, are you moving this, or do I get a chance to speak?
Yes,
to
I am.
Mr.
Okay.
Clausen.
So
I'd like to ask the applicant a couple of questions, please.
Certainly.
Before we go any further. My first question is, I noticed on the sketch, on the front view, I assume that this is looking west from Deer Park. It would be nice on the sketch if you'd actually put the street where the garage door is going to be located, from which direction to face. Mr. Rapster, please.
Yes, it's going to be facing southwest. Yes, Deer Park. So right now there's an existing concrete or asphalt pad there where the cars are parked on.
Okay.
With an existing entrance coming off of Deer Park. That would just be used to access the garage.
Okay, so basically the existing concrete pad is going to act as the driveway.
Yes, yeah.
And it currently, I didn't get a chance to look at it today. I wished I had, but I didn't get a chance. And other things going on. So there is an existing curb cut on Deer Park. So basically this is your concrete pad is an extension of the existing apron off Deer Park.
Yes, sir. And the garage will basically house where the cars are parked now in the existing asphalt driveway.
No. I think that's a good thing. I realize that you are aware, and the applicant is aware, that driveway access is only permitted from Deer Park. So you've answered that question for me.
Yeah.
I understand Mr. Gabri's comment. He is somewhat concerned about the location of that driveway entrance. And I guess if I were Mr. Gabriel, I would be sending a public service request to the town. First of all, I didn't have a chance to look at where the existing stop sign is at Deer Park and Spruce Side, but I would also be asking the town to install a proper stop bar across Deer Park. And I would also suggest that maybe the town should put in the no parking requirement from so many feet upstream of a stop sign.
I believe there's a public mailbox on the Spruce Side section there.
I'm saying Deer Park. Deer Park needs the stop bar, yeah. And it also needs a sign so there's no parking so many feet, basically downstream or upstream of the stop bar.
Right.
And Mr. Gabriel, I think that would solve a lot of his questions in his letter, and maybe our engineering department can look into that at a later date. And with that, yes, Mr.
Cook, if you look at the drawings that were submitted, especially the site plan, and if you go to the site, he's got a driveway already going to where the proposed garage is, and I saw a car parked there, and that's what I really wanted to confirm. This is covering an existing area.
Yeah, and that's I wanted to confirm this, because I didn't have the chance to get to it today. And I just want to confirm that the gentleman is aware that the entranceway is going to be from Deer Park and that there is currently an existing entrance.
I think if
but I think Mr. Gabriel's
comment had the drawings that would have answered about 90% of the questions.
Yes.
Now, I don't believe there's a visibility problem. What I'm saying is Mr. Gabriel's question, he could probably have it resolved if there were the stop sign on Deer Park.
There is a stop
had a basically a stop bar where it should be located, okay, and no parking upstream, or basically it would be west of the stop sign. But that's something that the town should be looking at as part of their parking system and no parking system within the town. And with that, those are my only comments. And I would request a motion either to accept or refuse this application. And Mr. Law, you had started
yes,
the process, and I assume that when you started the process, you were recommending that the variance A4 2022P be granted. And then from there on, I will let you continue. Thank you, Mr. Law.
Thank you. So file A422P, this application is granted, and the variance is minor nature, as it will not significantly impact dwelling, massing, or create a sightline issue. The intent of the zoning bylaw is maintained. The intent of the official plan is maintained. The proposal is desirable for land as the addition will facilitate a garage addition and will not adversely impact the surrounding neighborhood. This application is granted without prejudice to any other application in the town of Pelham. The Committee of Adjustments considered the written and oral comments and agrees with the minor variance report analysis and recommendation that this application meets the Planning Act tests for minor variance. The applicant is aware that driveway access is only permitted from Deer Park Crescent. So the conditions are, number 1, building permits. Number 2, provide a landscape buffer strip facing Spruce Side Crescent. Number 3, submit lot grading and drainage plan. 4, obtain driveway entrance and culvert permit to accommodate any modification to the existing driveway. And with that, this application is granted.
Thank you.
I second that we grant the application.
Thank you, Mr. Clausen. All in favor of granting application A4 2022P?
Yeah.
In favor? Carried. Yeah. Thank you very much. and Mr. Ripstra and the applicant.
That's Sean. Thank you. Thank you.
Basically, all I have to do is wait for the time period to expire, and you continue on with the building of your garage. And with that, gentlemen, we are moving to the next part of our agenda. We have no applications for consent, and we have one matter still in front of us, which is the approval of the minutes of the March 1st meeting. The March 1st meeting we had.
Through you, Mr. Chair, at the March 1st meeting, yourself and Member Law were in attendance.
All in favor, Bernie, can I have a motion to accept the minutes as prepared? Moved by Mr. Law that the minutes of the March 1st meeting be approved as prepared and attached to this agenda. Seconded by Mr. Cook. All in favor of approving the minutes of March 1st. Thank you very much. And thank you, gentlemen. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Clausen.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Law. All in favor of adjourning this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the Town of Pelham? Carried. Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary Leach, for your assistance. And everybody have a great evening.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a good evening.
And see you.